Hey, what's going on, everybody? So today I want to talk about AI or artificial intelligence, right? Like, how does it actually work? This is going to be a complete overview. Like, if you're a complete beginner, you've never heard of AI, like, what is the technology? I mean, there's so many people out there that just have no idea what it is. Okay. So I want to break down everything, right? Should we be worried about it? How can we learn AI? And I really want to break down how it works, right? Because, maybe so many of you, some of you are using AI tools already, maybe like ChatGPT or Gemini. So you already have a understanding of how AI works. But this one is really for those who have no idea, right? What the heck is it? How does it work? So I created a step-by-step document that I'll leave down below. You guys could have access to it. But essentially what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk you through some examples of how AI works. But before I do that, I just want to let you know, should we be worried about AI, right? And if you think about it, right, AI is just another technology. It's another tool that is going to help you with daily tasks, right? So yes, I think it is going to disrupt the industry and the way we do things. Before we had CPAs doing taxes. I think AI is going to take a lot of these jobs. A lot of the engineering or the coding, right? AI can now do this very quickly. Okay, but don't worry, I'm going to go through how you can stay ahead of the curve, and I really think that this is just another technology that has been presented to us, right? So if you look back at the industrial industry back in the 20s and the 30s, right? Everyone, like 80% of Americans were farmers, right? They were farming, they were doing that, right? And then the revolution happened, and so many farmers were no longer farmers, right? People were doing something different, right? So that was a huge disruption. People lost jobs, and that's kind of what started the depression. But okay, this is something that I want you to understand: the people that were ahead of the curve, right, that were understood the new technology, they weren't afraid of the new things that was going on. Those are the people that actually made a lot of money during the Great Depression, right? And I'm not saying we're going to go into something like that. I just want you to understand, history repeats itself every single time, right? There's cycles, right? You even look at the internet. With the internet, same thing happened, right? So many people were afraid of the internet. It's going to mess up everything. We're going to lose so many jobs. And yes, a lot of jobs were lost, but there was also more money created, right? The people that actually adopted it quickly, right? So I want you to look at AI as something that it's just a new technology, okay? It's not going to completely replace, humans, right? And there's no way, like that'll never happen. But it will replace some jobs. It will replace some industries. And as we go through this entire program, I want you to understand, like, don't be afraid of it. Lean into it. Learn it. Okay. As you learn this, you will start to be more comfortable with it. Okay. And we're still so early in the AI industry, but let's go through what the heck is AI, right? And I'm going to go through this document with you. That way it just makes a lot more sense. Okay. And I'll leave this down below, but essentially, right, the whole point of this is understanding this as a complete beginner, right? So I'm just assuming you've never heard of it. You have no idea how it works, the technology. So let's just start at the very beginning, right? So what is AI? Okay. AI stands for artificial intelligence. It's technology that can perform tasks that usually require human intelligence. Things like writing, creating images, solving problems, answering questions, right? So, AI can do so many things, and we'll go back to this, but at the base of AI, right, kind of some of the main things that it can do is it can write things for you, right? It can make, so for example, people would spend hours and hours writing social media posts or blog posts or even emails, right? AI can now do this in seconds, right? Now, one thing that you'll need to understand as we go through this is, yes, it'll write, it'll do whatever you ask it, but it's also how you prompt it. Meaning, you can't just say, "Hey, write me a social media post," right? It's just going to be super generic. Whether you're selling something, you own a business, or you're just trying to learn AI, you need to understand that prompting is actually the thing that you need to understand. Right? That's the main thing. And as we go through this series, I'll show you how I prompt AI. Right? I promise you, I'm so much better at prompting than the average person, because I know how to tell the AI what I want, right? Because if you don't tell it what you want in a very specific manner, then it's just going to give you garbage. Okay. So that's one thing to understand. Yes, it's very intelligent and knows exactly, it has so much history and so much data, but if you don't tell it exactly what you want, you're not going to get what the output that you need. Okay. So something really, crucial to understand. Okay. So let's go back though. And I want you to think of AI as a super efficient assistant, right? So it's not something to be afraid about. It's just an assistant, right? It's just something that's going to help you in your business or whatever you're doing, right? So again, the AI it could help you with your job or with whatever you're doing. Like my wife actually uses AI to, help with her Bible studies, right? It helps break down the Bible a little bit more. So you can use it for a lot of different things, right? But some of the main things that people are using it for is writing content, right? Writing articles, writing social media posts, right? So, obviously we'll go through how you can actually make money with this, but you can also create images. I'm using AI to create images for Facebook, okay? You can get ideas, right? Maybe you want to start a new business and you have no idea, like, hey, what should I name the business, right? So things like that. Answer questions. People use it as like a Google now, okay? So not my favorite way to use it. I like to use it to kind of give me some ideas and to help create content, but some people just use it to ask questions, right? And then also to make smarter decisions, right? So you can go to the AI and tell it like, hey, I want to invest in this business. This is how much money I have. This is, you can give it all the data. You can tell it your entire situation. It'll help you make a decision. So that's something really, really cool. Now let me give you some examples of some of the AI that's already being used that you probably see it already. Okay. So Gmail is a great place to see how it works, right? So if you ever written an email, you'll notice that you'll start to type and Gmail will literally finish the sentence for you, right? So it thinks it knows what you're going to say, right? Based on all the data that it's had, right? For millions and billions of people that have written emails. Okay. So that's why it thinks it knows what you're going to say next, right? For the most part. Same thing with text messages, right? You'll notice you'll start to text people and then it'll kind of finish it for you, right? Now it's not always right, of course, and you may have a different thought, but that's, for the most part, it kind of knows what you're going to say, right? So that's something to kind of understand. Also Spotify, right? Who listens to music, right? So as you start to listen to different music, different songs, it's going to know your taste. Like, do you like a certain type of rock? Do you like a certain type of country music, right? Or whatever it is. Something like Spotify also uses AI to help you find the right thing that you want, right? And then ChatGPT is an AI software we'll go over later, but essentially this is the software that's gonna help you write different emails and blog posts and all that good stuff. Okay, so that's basically how it works. What is AI, like what it could help you, right? Think of it as an assistant, right? I don't want you to think of it as something that's going to totally take your job away or be afraid of it, right? It's just going to help you in everyday tasks. Okay. So if you switch your mindset about AI, you won't think like, oh my gosh, it's going to like be like iRobot, it's going to take over the world. Just remember it's here to help you. It's an assistant. Okay. So I really want you to understand that. And I want to go over obviously I want to go over some tools and some actual AI things that we can start using, but we'll do that later because this is really just to understand what AI is. Okay. So I'm going to go back and I just want to give you some more examples, right? So like for example, even if you're on Netflix, right? If you're on Netflix and you watch a movie, now it knows what type of movies you like. So you'll notice as you start to watch different movies, it'll start to suggest newer movies as well. Okay. So that's something to kind of understand as well, is that as you start to use certain streaming services or your phone or Facebook, Instagram, the AI starts to recognize what you like, right? Same thing with the algorithm, right? That's why these algorithms are getting a lot smarter as you start to scroll, because it starts to understand what you like. Okay. So now let's go over some more like kind of nerdy stuff, like for those who really want to dive deep into it. But I'll also keep it a little high level too. Okay. That way we don't get too into the weeds yet. Okay. So how does AI work? Like, why is it actually smart, right? So you can think of AI in three major parts. Okay. So you got the actual data, right? The information that it learns from like certain text or images or audio or numbers, right? So, all these AI softwares that are available, they have access to pretty much every type of book ever written, every article, it could look at every YouTube database, right? So the data that it has is just insane, right? Now for us, we can also access this data as well, right? You can, if you want to learn how to change your oil or change a tire, you can simply go to YouTube and search it. The thing with AI is it already has this and it can access it in seconds, right? That's kind of the power of it. Okay. Second thing, right? So the first one is data. Second thing is the algorithms, right? The instructions that tell it how to process the data. Okay. So if it has a ton of data, but it doesn't know what to do with it, then it's not going to do much, right? Now the algorithms, this is all programmed by you. Okay. So as you guys start to use the AI and some of these tools, these AI softwares are going to better understand how your mind works, right? What you want, right? So as humans use AI more and more, it's going to start to make more sense for the AI. So the AI actually learns, it gets smarter, right? So it has all this data, but then as you start to ask it certain questions and certain tasks that you ask it to do, it starts to answer them in a different way, right? And that's something to really understand, that's why the AI gets smarter every single month or whatever it is, because so many people are using it. But the way people are using it, that's where it's getting smarter, right? That's where it's almost like updating its algorithm. Okay. Because at first AI, when you first started using it, like a long time ago, when it first came out, it would just kind of give you some random, prompts or random outputs. But now it has so much data and so much usage that it gives you really what you want, which is very, very powerful. Okay. Last thing here is models, right? The trained version that can make decisions or create content, right? So this is where it gets a little bit more advanced, and we can look at some of these more advanced AI softwares that actually do whole tasks for you, right? So it's just crazy. Some of these AI softwares will do, you just tell it like, I want you to post a social media post every single day. And it's literally like an agent, right? So it's like a personal assistant that actually does this for you. Okay. Now I want you to think of this, think of the analogy of baking cookies, right? So you are the AI. Okay. The ingredients is the data, right? This is all the data that it has, right? And all the data it's ever had. And then the recipe is the algorithm, okay? And then the cookies is the final result, okay? This is the trained model, okay? And, again, if you bake cookies or whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to get better and better every single time, right? The recipe is going to get better. You're going to get better, right? You're going to get better at putting all these things together, right? Because at first, when you're using AI, yes, it's super smart and it knows all this data, but when you're first starting to use it, you're not going to know how to put it all together, right? That's kind of the analogy I want you to understand, right? So many people don't know how to put AI together because they've never used it. Right now, me, I use it every single day. So I know exactly how to speak to the AI to get the output that I want. Okay. So really, really important there. Right. So an example here, ChatGPT was trained on books, websites, conversations. That's the data. Okay. It learned patterns using the algorithms, right? Just people use it every single day. And the final model can generate answers, write content, and help solve problems. So, as people start to use it, you're just gonna be able to the algorithm's just gonna get smarter with time. Okay, so something to really understand there. Okay, all right. So step 4, and to really understand this, is how AI learns. Okay, and this really just it's gonna help you when you have these. When you have this knowledge of how it works, it's going to help you make better AI prompts and how to speak to the AI better. Okay. Now, the first one is supervised learning, right? So AI is trained on labeled examples, like showing it to thousands of spam versus non-spam emails. This helps recognize patterns and make decisions on future data, right? So, you'll notice a lot of these emails that you get in your inbox, they're now going to spam or promotional, right? You'll see the Gmail promotional tab. Now that's because it's learning what type of emails are, hey, this is a promo type email. This is a spam type email. Oh no, this one should be in their inbox. So it's learning all these, it has so many emails going through that it's starting to understand how it all works, right? And that's why the AI is just getting smarter and smarter every single day, because we're feeding it data. It's getting the data from Google and Facebook and all the things that people are doing. Okay, and this basically with supervised learning, it helps recognize these patterns. That way you can make decisions in the future. Okay, now number 2 is unsupervised learning. Okay, so AI is given data without labels. It figures out patterns on its own. For example, grouping people based on their shopping habits without being told what those groups mean. Okay, so what is this? Let's break this down. Okay, so supervised learning, it actually has the data. It's understanding like, hey, these are, this is spam versus not spam or whatever. Unsupervised, it's starting to kind of recognize these patterns, right? So, I'll take an example for myself, right? I ask it to create a Facebook post for me probably every single day. And obviously I tell it how I want the post, but it starts to recognize what I want without even asking it sometimes, which is pretty crazy. So it'll say, hey, Jonathan, I noticed that, a lot of your posts, you like this. So this is why I wrote it this way today. Okay. So it starts to learn your habits, your styles without even telling it. And that's kind of the power of AI, and why it's so powerful is because it'll start to recognize how the human brain works for you, but also for everyone, right? So how people usually do things. And that's where it becomes really powerful. And then reinforcement learning. Okay, so last thing here, AI learns by trial and error, just like humans do. It gets rewarded for good decisions and penalized for bad ones. Okay, so a good example of this is if you're asking it to create, let's just say, an image for you or a social media post. What's cool is most people will be like, hey, that was a great image. Thank you so much. So the AI knows, okay, now this is exactly what they wanted. I'm going to keep doing this for not only this person, but everyone that wants this type of image or whatever it is, right? Now, there's sometimes where I ask it for something and it gives me something totally off. And I'll tell the AI, I'm like, hey, this is not what I wanted. This is not what I asked for. You misunderstood. So it'll start to learn, right? Because I'm saying, hey, this is not what I need. So this is across the board. Everyone that's using AI is telling it like, hey, thank you so much. Boom. So now that's reinforcement learning, right? This is what the person wanted. So it'll start to learn more and more. Okay. And this is kind of the power of AI is we're using it. right? You, me, we're using the AI. We're making it smarter every single day by these types of learning models. Okay, so that's how it works. And I'll give you some more examples here, and then we'll kind of wrap this up. But look, now that you understand how this works, right? And I kind of went over some of these examples, but I want to kind of touch base on these again. Is this is how Netflix uses AI, right? Now that we know kind of how it works, right? So it tracks what you watch and how long you watch it, right? So obviously, if you watch something for a long time, it's gonna see that you like this video or series, right? But let's just say you watch something and you watch it for 5 minutes, you get bored. Now the AI is going to know, okay, this person doesn't like this type of video. I won't show them shows or movies that look like this. Okay. But it'll now compare you and your watching habits to other people's, right? And it'll start to kind of understand the data. It'll group you, right? So again, going back to this, it's the unsupervised learning. It'll start to group you based on what you watch, or in this example for Netflix, right? And you'll notice, like on Netflix or any of these streaming services, right, it predicts what you might enjoy next. Now, if you notice, when you first get Netflix or any type of streaming service, at first, it has no idea what you want to watch, right? Like, it's not sure. So as you start to watch things and all that stuff, it'll start to understand what you like, right? It might take a little bit of time, but once it dials that in, it's going to know exactly what you need. Okay. Same thing with YouTube, right? You'll notice YouTube does a really good job of showing you videos that you want to watch next. Okay. So this is all happening in the background, all AI, without needing to do anything. Okay. This is kind of the powerful thing about AI. Now, obviously there's some tools that you don't prompt at all, or you don't ask it questions. It just has AI, right? Like Facebook has AI software just in the background working to give you the best content for you. Okay. So I hope that made sense. I really wanted to kind of just break down what AI is, because I know so many people just are feeling overwhelmed, right? They're not sure how it works. Maybe they're afraid of using the AI, or they're not, they feel like they're going to be left behind. And I promise you, there's so many people that just don't understand, like, just the very, very basics. Okay. So I want to start from the complete basics, and we'll go through, and by the end of this, I want you to become a complete expert. So, at the end of the day, you can be ahead of the curve. You can start making money with this. You can teach other people, and you can help other businesses install AI into their business. And I believe the opportunity with AI is just incredible. Like, there's I've never seen anything like this. And I'm just really excited to be on the forefront of this. So hope you're excited as well. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm going to be continuing this series. So we'll see you on the next video.